the one, the only, Coach DJ Mayo.
Yes, sir.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm here to tell you that there's a lot of people that's very excited about you being here. I really appreciate you giving me some of your time to come out here and do this interview with you.
Yes,
There's
sir.
a question that everyone's asking, and the question is, who is Coach Mayo? So that's what we're going to find out in today's interview.
Yes,
So
sir.
Georgia is like football, Georgia football. My family's a big football family. My sister went to UGA. My
hmm
mom was a football head.
hmm
How did you get into football? How did you get into coaching?
Man, so from a young age, I was surrounded by family that loved the game. When my mom was in college, she was married to the starting quarterback at Bethune-Cookman College. It was Bethune-Cookman College at the time. Bernard Hawk. He still holds all the passing records down there. Gotcha. Um, so I can remember walking around on the practice field with the helmet falling down over my head because it was too big. I can remember that smell of the helmet and just wanting to throw the football. So from a young age, I just always wanted to go outside and play football. So, even before I went to elementary school, I'm knocking on my next door neighbor's door. So thank you, Brian Fordham, and his mom is Gloria Fordham, because I know I annoyed him pretty much, asking him every day to come outside throw the football. So every year my toy was like electric football. I would take my army man and set up football. Playing outside, I wanted to be the all-time quarterback. Just because of the strategy behind it. My granddad, huge football fan. So a lot of football fans in my family, so was just always exposed to it and just fell in love with it at a very young age. And coaching was something I wanted to do from very young age. And like I said, just being at the games, going and watching Bethune-Cookman play as a youngster. I had family members who graduated from Florida A&M, so every year we're at the Florida Classic. Mom was a huge Florida Gator fan, so I'm watching them growing up. So it was a part of my life just from the time I can remember taking steps and walking and talking. Football has been a part of my life.
Okay. So you talk about a lot of coaching.
Mhm.
Did you play some football too?
I did. I was okay. you know, I was now that I'm coaching it. I've coached some guys who are a lot better than I was. I was a first team all area guy, decent athlete, but I had a lot of teammates who were better than me. I'm the third best football player in my house. I would say both of my younger brothers are better football players, than I was.
Okay, let's talk some history, right?
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Right now, all your coaching experience, you're at year 19 of coaching?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Yes,
I
sir.
got that right. Out of all your experience, all your accolades, you were very sought after man. Why Georgia? Why Grovetown? Why high school?
That's a great question. In this profession, if you kind of treat people right and try to do a good job, there will always be opportunities. At this time in my life, it was important for me to be closer to my daughter. That kind of superseded any opportunities out there. Definitely had some discussions. Probably could have stayed at the collegiate level, but I felt like Grovetown has untapped potential. I feel like this area pretty much is untapped, and I feel like if we can get this program rolling, we can compete with the best in the state. And now instead of being 21 hours from my daughter, I'm 5 hours away from her. All my siblings are in Florida. Aunts, my uncle is down in Florida, so now I'm 5 hours from them. So it's kind of the best of both worlds professionally and personally. And Georgia high school football is the real deal. I was fortunate to spend some time here down at Camden County, big time football down there, big time community who loves and supports football. So always wanted to get back to Georgia. As coaches, coaching high school ball in Florida, we all kind of are like, man, I want to get to Georgia. It's kind of a goal for all of us. So having an opportunity to take a head coaching job in Georgia has kind of always been a goal of mine.
Coming into our football program, I can say we need a little bit of help, but this isn't like the biggest help that you've ever been a part of. You did some coaching out in Atlantic, right?
hmm
And that program had an 0-10 record for 2 years.
hmm
Not only did you turn that program around, you also had some people that followed you to that program.
hmm
Your program previously, they went 9-1.
hmm
You had players coming from a 9-1 program to a 0-10 program.
hmm
How does that happen?
I think relationships and I think culture. Because I think any of those kids that left that school and came with us will tell you they didn't come because I was easy on them. I think they knew what was expected. I think they knew the relationship was genuine and that, hard but fair. I'm gonna hold you to a high standard. I'm gonna hold you accountable, but it's only to prepare you, for life off the football field. So I was surprised, that some of those kids followed, but I think they believed. It's you know, Jeff Herron, says it starts with belief. Worked for him down in Camden County, and I think those kids just believed. I'm honored that they believed in me, and there were staff members that followed as well. And you see what we were able to do there at Atlantic. That was the worst program in the county. In a very short period of time, we were able to turn that around. But that was because just hell of a staff I had there at Atlantic and great kids.
So when you talk about program and talk culture, I got a saying and I'm gonna say,
Mhm.
and you tell me what it means to you.
Mm.
Culture over scheme. Talk me through that. What does that mean to you?
Man, culture over scheme all day, every day. So I think all of us in this profession can get on the board and talk X's and O's to a certain extent, or else we wouldn't be here. Um, but I don't think that's going to move the needle as far as the program. Now, if you got 20 Division I guys in a high school program, I don't know if any of it matters, but if you're trying to change a program around and trying to get young men to be the best they can be, you better be a stickler for culture and you got to stand on it, right? The kids say stand on business. You have to stand on business. You cannot put wins over the culture. You cannot put an individual and have it more important than your culture. Uh, you got to stand in the paint and defend your culture, and you got to protect the culture at all costs. So that might mean you may have to let a talented guy go. You may have to sit a talented guy to protect your locker room. So that culture is what's going to show up on 3rd and 3 when you got to get a stop and you got to have it on 4th and 1, or you're coming off back-to-back losses and you got to win a game. Knowing how to run a slant is not what's going to put you over the top. Knowing how to tackle is not what's going to put you over the top, because like I said, if you're in this position, I'm going to assume you know some football. And I like to think I can get on the board with some of the best of them as far as the X's and O's, but that's not the secret sauce. And what we've done, it has been 100% because of the culture that we put in place, and the kids have bought into it. Right, you got to get the buy-in. But I think once they see you actually care about them, and it's about more than football, then you're going to get those results on the field, right? So championship culture precedes championship results. So everywhere we go, we try to kind of put that in place.
Sounds really good. Now, when you talk about culture, when you talk about X's and O's, I think there's a level of professionalism that comes with that, right? And with professionalism, one of the things I think is very important is like terminology. You have a saying, and it's talk football. What does that mean when you say talk football?
Man, just knowing your stuff, be able to get on the board and talk ball with the kids. You can't teach it unless you know it. And in turn, if you've done a good job teaching it, your kids should be able to teach it, because they can't teach it unless they know it. So it's not enough to just know your job. You need to know, if I'm a defensive tackle, I need to know everybody's job, right? You got to be a 4-dimensional player. You need to know your job, your position, your unit, and your opponent. So if you're 1-dimensional, you just know your job, right? So how much football can we talk if you're that guy? And some guys, if I'm a safety, I may not understand why I need to know what a D tackle is doing, right? But if I know what my opponent's doing, if I know my assignment, if I know the other 10 guys' assignment, right, I'm gonna eliminate a lot of busts in that regard. So, being able to talk ball is pretty important.
When you are forming a culture, right? And right now you are going to be the leader of this program. I think leadership is very important.
Mhm.
Is one of the things they say is to be a good leader, you got to be a good follower.
Mhm.
At one point in your career, you were a coach of the year.
Mhm.
You went from coach of the year, then you went to being a position coach.
Mhm.
Now, some people look at that as like, man, I'm taking a step down,
Mhm.
but you didn't really look at it like that. It was like, okay, I'm gathering some tools to
Mhm.
build my toolbox. What was that experience like for you?
Oh, it was awesome. So like I said, I had won a couple Coach of the Year honors, and you never think you know it all in this profession, right? So I didn't think I was too good. Made that move to Camden County. The great Jeff Herron came back, 3-time state champion. The man lost 13 games in 10 years. I don't think it would have been wise to not take the opportunity to learn from him. So Yeah, I ended up being a position coach, and probably working for the greatest high school coach to ever walk the sidelines in the state of Georgia. And I was able to add some tools to the toolbox. Like I said, we did a pretty good job before. But I think when you're an assistant, you got to take those experiences, and the next time you get an opportunity to be a head coach, or for my young guys who've never been a head coach, you got to be adding tools to your toolbox. So when you take over, you kind of know how you want to run it. So I thought for me in my career, it was best to stay and learn from the best to do it. And it helped me. I used some of that at my next stop at Highland. I definitely used some things I learned from Jeff.
Coaching at the collegiate level to the high school level, what's some of the big differences?
Well, the college game, the kids are just more mature. Just the mental toughness, the baseline mental toughness coming in is just totally different. You don't have to deal with parents at all. And in the high school game, the parents can be the best thing about it. They can also be the worst thing about it. So we were just really blessed and fortunate. I know we talked about Atlantic. And that, again, besides a great staff and great kids, we had great parents. Like those parents at Atlantic. Again, a program that was 0-10 twice in 3 years. There were some issues, and we had to go in there and get it turned around. But the parents allowed us to do what needed to be done to get fixed. Not one time was I in the office because of a parent complaint when we were at Atlantic. We had to make some tough decisions, but they stepped back and let us do our job, and very grateful for that. So I would say that's probably the biggest difference with the collegiate level. Obviously, it's recruiting, and you should probably be recruiting every day. It's the lifeblood of the program. Just so much stuff off the field you got to deal with at the collegiate level that you don't have to deal with in high school. But this is 6A football in Georgia, so it's a pretty big deal as well. So just excited about this.
So when you talk about parents, right, you're dealing with more parents at high school. Of course, they're going to be involved, and you're the new coach here. What feedback do you have for parents initially going into this football program?
We've been there. We've done what needs to be done here, and I've had nothing but support since I've been here. Everyone I've encountered has been very supportive. I would just say to a parent, there may be parents where your son may be held accountable, and anything we do is going to help them in life, because when your child's out in the real world, man, you can't email their boss. You know what I mean? When your child goes to college, you're only going to call and email that coach so many times before your child's going to get let go. So, obviously, if something's being done wrong, we're not saying let your child be subject to abuse, but we're not going to be doing that. But sometimes tough love is necessary, and if we want different results, we got to do things differently. So it's going to be tougher to be a Grovetown warrior, and we need to embrace that. And if we work together and everybody's pulling in the same direction, we'll get some great results here. So I'm looking forward to working with these parents. It's been a wonderful community. Everybody's embraced us so far, so looking forward to it.
I got another saying for you, and as the leader, this directly pertains to you. And the saying is, "People will respond to the environment you create." What does that mean to you?
Well, we want to definitely create an environment that's conducive to building toughness. And to piggyback off of that, and coaching acumen it's you get what you emphasize, right? So same thing, just saying it a different way, but that's the kind of environment we want to create. We want to emphasize toughness, discipline, accountability, because again, if I go out there and tear my ACL, okay, real life happens. Now I'm not playing football anymore. Now I can sit and sulk and pout about it. Or what if one day, I may lose my job? Some adversity hits in real life. Well, I've been through adversity, right? I've been through some discipline in high school under my high school coach and program, and it's something I can think back to when I need to pull on that in real life. So if we create a country club atmosphere, how is that going to help that kid 10 to 15 years from now? So again, we're going to be hard, but we're going to be fair. And we're going to hold the kids accountable, because that's what's going to happen in life. Those bills are due every month. You have to show up to work. You know what I mean? Your feelings don't pay the bills. So we got to get them to understand that, yes, be a human. There's a human side to it. But we got to eliminate excuses. And that environment, we're on our way to creating that kind of environment here now.
When you talk about holding these students, these players accountable? Is this just football, or are we talking about academics as well?
Academics is number one. Academics is number one. I mean, you're going nowhere without that. Every C, D, and F you get, you're eliminating colleges that can recruit you. Division III plays football. NAIA plays football. NAIA can give you money for football and academics. Even Division I, you can be a stud athlete, but chances are between the transfer portal and the million other high school kids out there and the JUCO players out there, there's somebody with your measurables. So now if I'm 6'2", 220 as a linebacker, I got a 2.4, and there's another guy out there with a 3.5, who are they going to take? They're going to take the guy with the 3.5, right? So just if you go through this thing for 4 years of being average, you're not just going to flip a switch. It's very rare that you're just going to flip a switch and just be great afterwards. And again, it's our job as coaches to kind of, they're young, they don't know. And sometimes, like, they do have good parents at home. They do have parents telling them the same things, but sometimes it's different when it's coming from coach, So if we can reinforce those things for those kids who are being disciplined and held accountable at home, I think that'll help. And like I said, academics is the way. Even if you go to the league, NFL, they say it stands not for long. And my uncle, Grady Irvin, who's had a tremendous impact, on me, just seeing him just be the leader that he is, being an attorney, watching him in the courtroom just kind of always sparked me. But he was an agent, so I got a chance to watch some of the players he represented. I got to see what life was like after football, and the people who made bad decisions, who weren't held accountable, who didn't get that degree, who didn't take academics seriously. And life was hard on those guys I grew up with who didn't handle business in the classroom. So that's why I'm a stickler for that, because no matter who you are, right, even if you make the league, you got to live life after football. And again, if that injury happens, now what do we have to fall back on? So now if I'm injured with a 2.2, what am I doing?
Life after football. That could be a very tough conversation for some individuals, because life after football can mean a couple different things. Some kids won't make it to college.
Right.
So life after football is after high school. Some might make it to the collegiate level, but they might not make it to the league. So life after football is right after college. So that's a real big concept. How are you hitting that home with these players?
Yeah, so like you said, it could be before college. Like some everybody's not going to play college football. That's not everybody's goal, and that's okay. A great alternative is the military, and I got news for you. If you like discipline, you want to talk about discipline and accountability. You know what I mean? So it's not like you're going to escape that going that route. Or maybe you want to take up a trade. Well, if you're undisciplined in your trade and your craft, how long is that going to last? Are you going to be hireable? If you lack discipline, you can't run a business. So whatever direction you want to go, discipline and accountability have to be there at the forefront of it whenever football stops.
Most definitely. Talking recruiting. Recruiting is definitely different at the high school level, and there's probably some other parameters that go along with that. But right under high school is middle school. Do you have any connections with the middle school, or is there anything that you want to implement or push down? That way, when those middle schoolers come up to the high school, they're kind of already on the same sheet of music.
We're working on that as we speak. Working on it as we speak. I do know that the head coach from Grovetown Middle School is from my area and was a great football player. So I look forward to sitting down, chopping it up with him. But the feeder programs are the lifeblood, no different than high schools are the lifeblood of college programs. The feeder schools and the high school program are the lifeblood, and you got to establish those relationships and kind of make sure that culture's passed down, make sure they know what the expectations are, so when they come in here, it's not a culture shock.
For the kid that comes to you and says, Coach, I really want to play, but this player is slightly undersized, they might not have the most skill in their position, what advice do you have for them?
Just work hard. Be a guy that we talk about, in a positive manner. Be that, yeah, but. He's 5'8", 130, yeah, but he's never late. He's never missed workouts. He finishes first in all the sprints, and we're going to find a place for you. That might be the kid where college football is not for him, but man, be the best high school football player you can be, and those memories will last. So whether you go get a job or go to the military and another guy goes and plays at Alabama 15 years from now, y'all can all talk about what you did at Grovetown High School together, and you were part of that. So, size will matter for college recruiters, but for us, we just want the best football players, and we can help them out as far as nutrition, gaining weight, gaining strength, but you can find a role for a guy that's going to do the right thing. So we got a guy that's not quite as fast, not quite as strong, might not be the biggest, but he's living right and we can trust him. We're going to find a role for him.
Coach, I will say everything you talk about, it sounds very exciting. As I said, we are happy that you are here. Grovetown welcomes you. If anyone hasn't, I'm personally telling you, we are happy that you are here. And I
Happy to be
really
here.
appreciate you giving me some time to do this interview so we can see who Coach Mayo really is.
All right, thank you.